Ghost Tales.
Hey girlies and ghoulies, and welcome to the Girly Ghost Tales podcast. We're your hosts for the evening. I'm Leah.
And I'm Amber, and this is a supernatural podcast about ghost stories, ghost hunting, conspiracies, witchcraft, haunted objects, places, even people, and everything in between with a little bit of girl talk mixed in.
What more could you ask for? Tonight we're deep diving into the unknown world of aliens, extraterrestrials, and UFOs. So sit back, grab some popcorn, get comfy, and to the grave we go.
Tonight, I'm taking you to one of the busiest airports in the world, a place where thousands of planes take off and land every single day, a place full of schedules, order, and constant noise. But on November 7th, 2006, at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport, something happened that broke all the rules of the sky, something that seasoned pilots, mechanics, and ground crew could not explain. This is the story of the O'Hare UFO.
I'm excited. Airports just creep me out in general.
They're just a weird place.
And like the Denver, have you heard of the Denver International Airport?
So many weird things.
I know.
So many people that come and go through those places.
I feel like it's like a portal, kind of. Like how mirrors are.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like airports have to be.
There's just so much energy.
Mm-hmm.
So many different kinds of people.
Mm-hmm.
Animals. All sorts of things.
Yeah.
The O'Hare UFO has never been explained. It wasn't caught on radar. It wasn't acknowledged by officials. But it was seen clearly, undeniably, by dozens of people who knew the skies better than anyone. On that cold November day, a silent metallic disc hovered above one of the busiest airports on Earth. It defied explanation, it defied physics, and then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it was gone, leaving behind only a perfect circle of clouds and a question that still lingers nearly 2 decades later. What flew over O'Hare that afternoon? A ramp worker said, "I was out guiding an aircraft when I looked up. It was just there, a perfect disc, maybe 20 or 30 feet across, no wings, no engine, no sound, just hovering. The strangest thing was the silence. You're never far away from noise, jets, engines, ground vehicles, but this was dead quiet." A gate agent said, "I remember passengers pointing at us, asking why we were all staring out the windows. But how do you explain something like that? It sat there for several minutes and then it shot straight up. I'll never forget what it left behind, a perfect hole punched through the clouds, a circle so clean it didn't look natural." A pilot said, "I know airplanes, I know military craft. It wasn't either. No wings, no lights, no markings, just a disc. And the way it moved, it wasn't like anything we're capable of. It left in an instant, gone before my eyes could even follow it." One of the managers said, "At first I laughed. I thought my staff was joking, but then I saw it myself. It was just sitting there, still, solid, not a balloon, not weather. I'll never forget how my stomach dropped, because I knew, whatever it wasn't supposed to be there." Word spread quickly through the airport. Employees whispered to each other. Supervisors called their managers. Eventually, someone contacted FAA. But when the Federal Aviation Administration responded, their answer wasn't what witnesses expected. The FAA dismissed the sightings as nothing unusual, just a weather phenomenon, they claimed, a hole-punched cloud caused by ice crystals falling out of the sky. Suspicious.
Yeah.
Also,
sounds like they're covering it up already.
Yeah. How does ice crystals coming from the sky put a hole in a cloud?
Yeah. That
Weird.
doesn't make sense to
No.
me.
Does not add up.
Mm-mm.
To employees who had seen a solid metallic craft hover and then shoot upward, that explanation was laughable, but not funny, unsettling. Because the FAA wouldn't acknowledge what they saw, what else were they hiding? United Airlines manager reportedly told staff not to discuss the incident. Several employees later admitted they were afraid of losing their jobs if they went public. On January 1st, 2007, the Chicago Tribune broke the story. Multiple United Airlines workers, speaking anonymously, confirmed what they had seen. Soon, CNN, NBC, CBS, and Fox were all running the headline, UFO at O'Hare. The FAA doubled down on their weather explanation, but the public wasn't convinced. Why would dozens of airline employees, trained professionals used to spotting and identifying aircraft, confuse clouds for a flying disc? One employee told the Tribune, "I stood out in the cold for nearly 20 minutes watching it. I don't know why the powers that be are so afraid to tell us the truth. Whatever it wasn't from around here." So what was it? Some believe it was a secret military craft tested in plain sight, but skeptics argue the military wouldn't risk revealing advanced technology over one of the busiest airports in the world. The FAA insists on a weather explanation, but meteorologists pointed out that hole punch clouds don't explain a solid object seen before the hole formed. Others suggest it was something far stranger, a craft not of this earth surveying our busiest air traffic hub before disappearing into the clouds. And then there are whispers of cover-up. Employees claim photographs were taken that day, but if they exist, none have ever been verified. Was evidence confiscated, or did it never exist at all? The O'Hare UFO has never been explained. It wasn't caught on radar, it wasn't acknowledged by officials, but it was seen clearly, undeniably, by dozens of people who knew the skies better than anyone. Seems to be covered up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and if it was whatever weather explanation they said, then why did they tell the employees, like, you can't talk about it?
Yeah, don't talk about
So
it.
obviously that's a cover-up.
Yeah, also, why have we never seen anything like that before?
Yeah.
Then, or after?
If they knew what it was, wouldn't they be like, oh, it's just this?
Yeah.
Instead of, like, freaking out about it.
Mm-hmm. Like, I've never seen a perfect hole in a cloud
No.
before. That seems
Or
weird.
heard of whatever explanation
Yeah.
they said it was.
Ice crystals
caused by.
falling from the sky.
It doesn't, like, what do you mean ice crystals?
Yeah. I don't know, that doesn't make sense to me.
The people who didn't work there, they can't tell them that they're not allowed to talk about it.
That's true.
But then would the government, like, come after
Yeah.
them or something?
The Men in Black thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if they've already been visited by it.
I know, that's what I'm wondering.
Under the subreddit UFO, somebody asked who has a real UFO encounter story they'd like to share. Biohacker27. Back in 1988 in Medford, Long Island, New York, in, I believe, September, my 7-year-old self was up in my room getting things in order for the next day when I heard my 2 sisters and 2 neighbors who lived across the street suddenly yelling and cursing at something or someone. I heard one of my sisters say, "Holy shit, is that a UFO?" I immediately ran to my window, and to my bewilderment, I saw a flying disc approximately 35 feet in diameter hovering over my neighbor's house across the street from me. About 40 feet in the air, with red and white lights blinking all around it. I thought to myself, wait a second, is that a UFO? I immediately ran downstairs and into the driveway, and my sister quickly turned around to yell at me to go back inside the house. I didn't, and watched in awe as it flew west above other houses from us. We immediately scattered after that. My sisters and I ran into my house and my neighbors into theirs. We were talking about it for the rest of the night, completely freaked out at the event. The next day, my neighbor from across the street said she called 911 and dispatch said that there had been hundreds of calls throughout Long Island that day about it. They said not to approach it or do anything to it. My mother, who worked for the police department years later, looked into the incident and confirmed that there had been thousands of calls about it. It was pretty insane at that time, and it got me into UFOs pretty heavily since then.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like my dream. That was like my dream as a kid too.
Yeah.
Was to like see a UFO.
Just every time you look up at the sky, I'm like, is that a shooting star or UFO?
I used to like put my head on like my windowsill like this and just like stare into the sky and like talk in my head and be like, please aliens come and show me. I'm not gonna tell anyone.
I won't tell anyone.
Please
I'm your
come
friend.
and abduct me for the night. I won't tell anyone. And I was like convinced that that was gonna like get them to like do it, but never happened.
Rude.
Because obviously the aliens know, like, okay, all these people can see us right now.
Mhm.
Like, what were they, like, trying to do?
Yeah. I
Like,
wonder...
did any of their neighbors get, like, abducted or, like, have, like, time go, like, missing?
I don't know. Yeah, that is a common occurrence, I guess,
Yeah.
with UFOs is missing
Like,
time.
missing time. Or, like, just not remembering what happened.
Yeah. I wonder if they have, like, a button that, like, makes their aircraft invisible and they just, like, accidentally pressed it for
Yeah, I feel like
a little
they'd be
bit and
smarter than
forgot.
that, though.
I would think so, too, but...
Like, I feel like there would have to be a reason that they were hovering above the... Like, if they got thousands of calls,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
That is a lot. That means a lot of... Well, obviously a lot of people saw.
Yeah.
That... Back to the invisible thing. It makes me think of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
When they take the car and he forgets
Yeah.
to press the button. Like, is it that
That
situation?
would be funny if that is the reason. If that's the reason for, like, all of the people that have seen UFOs. They're like, oh crap, press the button.
You forgot.
That would
on,
be me
Ron.
as an alien. Like,
I know.
accidentally pressing the button.
Whoopsies.
And they're probably just like, well, nobody believes we're real anyway, so who cares?
Yeah. They won't see.
They won't know.
It was so quick.
Mm-hmm.
Then this one from Myclo_82. I've seen countless. One of the longest observations was probably one I saw over Plant 42. I don't know what that is, but...
And also, they've seen countless. Like,
I
what
guess.
do you mean?
No idea. Apparently, wherever he lives must be a
Hotspot.
I guess, yeah. The video game Tomb Raider had just come out for the PlayStation. I stayed up extra late with my brother-in-law playing that night. Drove home super late that night. My regular route goes right through Plant 42. I saw an orange glowing ball of light materialize maybe 100 to 200 feet above one of the hangars. Hard to judge as I was quite a bit away still. It wasn't very big, maybe the circumference of 50 feet. Not that big. 50 feet. That's very big. Caught my eye immediately in the darkness. It's still really hard to describe. Best way to describe it, it was like one of those old super bouncy balls you get in an old quarter machine. Matte type texture that glowed orange with a swirly, oily type movement inside. Kind of makes me think like a crystal ball almost. It was like matte on the outside.
I'm like picturing that exact like bouncy ball
Yeah.
that they're talking about.
Yeah. I remember clearly locking eyes with it for a while and thinking to myself, wow, this is really happening. And cheesily thinking to myself, I should pinch myself. I was 16. I watched it for a good 30 seconds before it did a bunch of low altitude, high speed maneuvers and shot off into the sky. Have you ever seen a shooting star and have blinked and seen its trail? This did the exact same thing. I saw the exact pattern it took in my vision before it flew off into the sky.
That's crazy.
I feel like that's a different type of encounter that
Yeah.
you hear. Like an orange glowing
I've
orb.
never heard that before.
Mm-mm.
Like it almost sounds like it's trying to like lure them, like
Yeah.
follow the glowing ball.
Yeah. See, you can see where I went. Keep
Mhm.
coming.
And I feel like most people who have like alien encounters have like one. Not like countless. Like you can't even count how many you've had.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
wild.
Okay.
Everybody's making noise around here
I
today. This one, Skew Bear 606. Out camping near Riggins, Idaho in 1994, 24 miles from town on the Salmon the Salmon River at the French Creek drainage. Me and some friends decided to take a walk down the road in the middle of the night. No flashlights, it was a clear spring night sky. We were walking eastward. I noticed off to my left at about 45 degrees in my periphery there was what I thought was the moon, but slightly obscured by trees alongside the road. I didn't pay it any mind for a few minutes until I saw the moon actually rising in the east in front of me. Shocked, I immediately turned to face this thing, and it was the most beautiful, jaw-dropping sight I'd ever seen. The perfect white oval, the size of the moon, at a 45-degree angle, moving slightly downward at a slow clip. It was encased in a white, luminous vapor, as if it was dipped in glowing liquid nitrogen, or frozen gases sublimating off the craft like dry ice. A pure, vibrant white vapor pouring off of this thing like a comet with a tail. I ran back down the road the way we just walked because there was a clear vantage of what I was seeing between the trees. I looked down at the road for only a split second to see which way I was running, looked back up only to see it completely gone. A very brief encounter, but a very vivid one that is marked in my brain forever. That one I feel like could be... Jesus.
What was that?
I don't know. It sounded
That
like
was
somebody
loud.
like stepped on.
Yeah.
It was really weird. Anyway. Last one. No_performance 8402. Not sure if this particular event counts, but the first strange experience was one when I was a child living in South Dallas in 1992. Both my parents were up with me while I played with my toys because I had this cough that wouldn't go away. And they were just up watching TV when something caught my attention while I was playing. At the front of our house, we had some narrow rectangular windows by our front door, and I saw a bright green light. It was pulsating and it was intense. So I asked my parents what that was, and both my parents went to the windows to look at it. We saw nothing but green lights, now from the windows on the left side of the house and from the narrow rectangular windows, and it was very unusual. My mom then asked my dad to check it out, and my dad opened our front door, and we could see the light was so bright, but it was coming from the left end of our street. He then paused for a moment, stricken with fear, but then proceeded to say, "I'm going to check it out, I'll be back." My father was gone for approximately 3 hours, and my mom asked him, "Did you see what was emitting that light?" And all he responded was, "Oh, I didn't see anything." My mother and I were kind of baffled because how the hell could he be gone for that long and not see anything? Nothing else? You didn't ask any follow-up questions?
They didn't say, why were you gone for 3 hours?
Yeah.
What were you doing? Where were you?
Seems UFO. He lost. Well, I guess it doesn't necessarily say that he lost time, but
It sounds like his memory was
Yeah.
wiped or something, maybe.
it's like, I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. That one's
that's
so weird.
I'd be like interrogating.
Yeah, I'd be like, hello, where
Yeah.
were you then? What were you doing for 3 hours?
Mhm.
Second incident was in 1997. It was daytime and we were having lunch playing video games. My older brother stops and so do I at the same time because we both saw a short, 4-foot tall, thin gray figure, no face, with a large head running from the front of our gate to the back of our back fence and jump over into the wheat field behind our house. The way it leaped was like a gazelle, and whatever it was incredibly fast. My brother and I got terrified because initially we thought maybe it was someone who wanted to break into our house. It did not seem to have interest in our home. It only showed interest in the wheat fields behind us. Could you imagine a 4-foot tall, thin gray figure, no face with a large head? No face?
Yeah, and like leaped over to a wheat field. I
And-
feel like the
yeah.
fact that they have a wheat field in their backyard tells like that's an alien.
That's an alien.
Like,
Also, jumped over an 8-foot fence.
yeah, like that's huge
Yeah.
to jump over. I feel like a gazelle or whatever they said when...
I don't even think they could.
No. I'm like, what do you mean you just thought it wanted to break in? Like it had no face and you were like,
And-
oh, it probably wanted to rob us.
Yeah, it was probably just something wanted to rob us. That's fine. And then nothing else after that. You didn't...
Nothing.
Well, I don't know if I guess would chase after it either because I'd probably be scared. But
Yeah. Where did it go to? Like after it jumped over there, it just like disappeared and then you never saw it again?
Never heard anything.
Yeah.
Anything?
And like, did they ask their dad after? Like, hey, what happened that night when you were
Yeah.
gone for 3 hours? Well, it definitely sounds like aliens.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did the abduction of Betty and Barney Hill. Barney and Betty Hill were just your average couple. Barney was a postal worker and Betty was a social worker. Neither of them had any special interest in aliens, UFOs, or extraterrestrial beings until one fateful night in 1961 that forever changed their lives. Before we get into their abduction, I'm just going to give a little background of who Betty and Barney Hill were. They were an active couple in their community. Betty served as a local civil rights advocate, and Barney was on the board of their local NAACP chapter. The NAACP is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, a civil rights organization founded in 1909 that was dedicated to ensuring the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights for all persons and eliminating race-based discrimination. Living in Portsmouth, New Hampshire in 1961, they were a biracial couple at a time when such marriages were still rare, which already put them in a social spotlight. So, in mid-September 1961, Betty and Barney took a last-minute honeymoon trip to Niagara Falls and Montreal. On the night of September 19, 1961, they were driving home through the White Mountains of New Hampshire after dark. Their route took them down the U.S. Route 3 through a stretch of wilderness near Franconia Notch. Around 10:30 p.m., Betty noticed a strange bright light in the sky. At first, she thought it might be a star or a planet, but it seemed to be moving in an odd, erratic pattern. She pointed it out to Barney, who at first assumed it was an airplane. As they drove, the light seemed to get closer and closer, keeping pace with them. Eventually, it swooped low over the treetops. This was no ordinary light. It was now clear to both of them that they were seeing some kind of structured craft. Near Indian Head, they pulled the car over to get a better look. Betty used a pair of binoculars to examine the object. She saw a large, pancake-shaped craft with rows of windows and multicolored lights. Inside the windows, she thought she could make out figures moving. At that point, I would literally be like, oh my god, we're about to be abducted by aliens.
Yeah, that would definitely be my first thought.
Yeah.
Although back then, was that even like, we talked about much?
No, so they were actually like the first documented case of like an alien abduction. So
Okay.
it was like really new, so I guess they probably, like it said, they weren't specifically interested in like aliens and UFOs, so it's not like they were looking for it or like that thought even popped into their head probably. They were probably just like, what is this weird thing? Barney, skeptical but curious, took the binoculars. When he looked, he froze. Through the windows, he saw 8 to 11 beings in dark uniforms looking down at them.
Oh my god.
One of the figures stepped forward, appearing to communicate something to him, either telepathically or through some unknown means, instructing him to stay where you are and keep looking. That would scare me too.
Yeah, like hearing a voice in your head.
That's basically like what he described as like they communicated it telepathically, like keep watching. Like that, I would be like, why do they want us to watch them? Like,
not
they
only
want us to not watch them, and like, shouldn't they disappear when we notice them?
That'd be terrifying.
That's like the scariest part, I feel like, is the fact that like it's trying to like get their attention and wants them to keep watching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they want them to see them.
Yeah. Barney suddenly felt a wave of terror. He shouted to Betty that they need to get back in the car immediately. As soon as they drove away, they heard a series of rhythmic beeping or buzzing noises from the trunk area. A tingling sensation swept over their bodies and their consciousness faded. The next thing they remembered, the beeping came again, but now they were 35 miles further down the road with no memory of how they got there. They later realized about 2 hours of time was missing from their trip. When When they finally arrived home around dawn, they both felt strange, tired, disoriented, and uneasy. They soon noticed odd physical details. Barney's best dress shoes were scuffed. Betty's blue dress was torn at the zipper, hem, and lining, and covered in a mysterious pink powder. The binocular strap was broken. Their watches had both stopped and never worked again. The car had concentric circles of shiny spots on the trunk, and when a compass was held over them, the needle would spin wildly. Additionally, Betty found vegetative debris on Barney's trousers, and he later developed a ring of warts above his groin, a physical anomaly that corresponded to their descriptions of internal probing.
Oh.
Another thing that couldn't be explained was that Betty insisted their luggage be kept near the back door rather than the main part of the house, and she said she didn't know why. She couldn't explain. She just said it was just a feeling, they just needed to keep it by the back door. So I don't know what that would be about.
Like still packed or just like the empty luggage, I guess.
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe they thought it was gonna happen again, or they needed to run out of their house soon. I don't know. She didn't really say. She just said I don't know why. I just felt like it needed to be kept by the back door.
So weird.
Within days, Betty began having vivid dreams of being taken aboard a craft by strange beings. In the dreams, she was separated from Barney, examined by a leader figure, and subjected to a medical procedure involving a long needle inserted into her navel. She also saw a three-dimensional star map inside the craft, which the being said showed their home system. So this is where NICAP comes in. NICAP, which stands for the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena, which was a nonprofit UFO research organization active in the United States from the 1950s to the 1980s. It gained prominence through its efforts to investigate and publicize reports of unidentified flying objects. So Walter N. Webb, a Boston astronomer and NICAP member, met with the Hills on October 21st, 1961. In a 6-hour interview, the Hills related all they could remember of the UFO encounter. Barney stated that he had developed a mental block and that he suspected there were some portions of the event that he did not wish to remember. He described in detail all that he could remember about the craft and the appearance of the somehow not human figures aboard it. Webb stated that they were telling the truth and the incident probably occurred exactly as reported, except for some minor uncertainties and technicalities that must be tolerated in any such observation where human judgment is involved. So they might have not remembered the exact time and length, or what things looked like if they blocked it out.
Yeah.
On November 25th, 1961, the Hills were again interviewed at length by NICAP members, but this time it was C.D. Jackson and Robert E. Hauman. Having read Webb's initial report, Jackson and Hauman had many questions for the Hills. One of their main questions was about the length of the trip. Although the Hills had noted that they had arrived home later than anticipated, the 178-mile drive should have taken about 4 hours. They did not realize that they had arrived home 7 hours after their departure from Colebrook. When Hauman and Jackson noted this discrepancy to the Hills, the couple had no explanation. So, missing time again.
Mm-hmm.
The Hills claimed to recall almost nothing of the 35 miles of the U.S. Route 3 between Lincoln/Indian Head and Ashland. Both claimed to recall an image of a fiery orb sitting on the ground. So kind of like the one story you said, the kind of fiery looking orb. Betty and Barney reasoned that it must have been the moon, but Hauman and Jackson informed them that the moon had set earlier in the evening. The subject of hypnosis came up, and it was decided that it should be carried out in order to recover previously irretrievable memories. Barney was apprehensive, but thought it might help Betty put to rest what he described as the nonsense about her dreams. So it sounds like he's kind of like in denial.
Yeah.
And he also said he had a mental block, so I kind of feel like he just doesn't want to like face whatever happened to them, because it sounds like it was not
good.
a good experience.
Ugh. Invasive sounds like.
Yeah, especially for him maybe, because it sounds like Betty, like, she's more wanting to figure out what happened and like wanting to like do hypnosis, and he's kind of just like, no, that's nonsense.
No, I don't want to know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know if I would, but I feel like
I'd also be scared.
Yeah. On November 23rd, 1962, the Hills attended a meeting at the parsonage of their church where Captain Ben H. Sweat of the United States Air Force was a guest speaker. Having had an interest in hypnosis, the Hills approached Sweat privately and related their strange encounter. Sweat was particularly interested in the missing time of the Hills account. The Hills asked if he would hypnotize them to recover their memories, but Sweat declined and cautioned them against going to an amateur hypnotist such as himself. By 1964, the Hills were struggling with anxiety, insomnia, and other symptoms of trauma. I know Barney like turned to alcohol, it said, and became like kind of anxious and depressed and like turned to drinking, probably partially because he doesn't know what happened. And like they're the first ones that experienced that. So imagine like not even knowing what it was, and like nobody else is like, oh, it was probably aliens. Like they probably just felt so crazy. Which is like scary and sad. I feel bad for them.
I know, that is really sad. They have like no one that they could talk to about it, because nobody's had a similar experience.
Like
that
now
they know
that
of.
happened, like we know there's so many alien stories. Like we would be like, oh, it was probably aliens. But being the first people to go through that would be so scary.
It would be very scary.
And they probably like didn't want to look crazy too. Like that's just sad. They sought help from Dr. Benjamin Simon, a Boston psychiatrist and hypnotherapist. Over multiple hypnosis sessions, Barney recalled being led into the craft, put on a table, and having a device placed over his groin, possibly to collect a sample. Barney felt the humanoid figures had entered his mind with their penetrating eyes. The beings were fascinated by his dentures. They placed a cup-like device over his genitals, and a tube was inserted into his anus and then quickly removed.
Yeah, it's pretty invasive.
Betty recalled the examination, hair and nail clippings being taken, and the needle test, in which she recalled a large needle inserted into her navel for a pregnancy test despite her pleas. So I don't know if they were just, I don't know, like why would they do that? Like why would they be testing if you're pregnant?
Makes me think they're going in there to steal her eggs.
Right, or to like implant something. Yeah. She described the beings as short, gray-skinned humanoids with large eyes. She also described showing the leader her confusion about the star map, after which he explained without words where they were from. Betty later drew the star map from memory. In 1969, amateur astronomer Marjorie Fish analyzed it and found it closely resembled the Zeta Reticuli star system, a match that was little known to the public at the time. This matched Betty's map to a real area in space, lending credence to the idea that she had insider knowledge from extraterrestrials. The location of Zeta Reticuli, 39 light years away, was notable because its existence as a double star system was not confirmed until later in the 1960s after Betty's map. Astronomer Carl Sagan observed that correctly aligning a map without awareness of Zeta Reticuli's twin stars would have been extremely difficult. Like, how would she have possibly known that? It's not like she is like an astronomer or knows a lot about space.
Or even just like if she drew some random stars.
Right.
Like,
Like,
The fact
what are
that
the
it lined up,
chances
yeah.
that and that's before the public even knew about it?
Mhm.
Like,
And it's not like you have the internet either, so it's
No.
not easy to look up.
and like she's a social worker. She's not like
Yeah.
studying like astronomy
Yeah.
secretly and like
No, that's
I feel like there's no way you could do that
no,
without knowing.
absolutely not.
However, some astronomers doubt the complete accuracy of the star alignments on Betty's map. Skeptics question whether any elaborate images created under hypnosis can be considered reliable at all. For proponents of the case, it hints at possible otherworldly insight, while for skeptics, it is likely just an intriguing coincidence or product of suggestion under hypnosis. The map continues to ignite debate about the validity of the Hills story over 50 years later. Their experience remains a landmark case for several reasons. It was one of the first widely publicized reports of an alien abduction, complete with a level of detail and documentation that was unprecedented at the time. The Hills' credibility as a respected couple known for their community involvement and professional work added a layer of seriousness to their claims that could not be easily dismissed. Skeptics of the Hills abduction point to several factors that could explain the couple's experience without invoking extraterrestrial intervention. Some suggest that the stress of being an interracial couple in the early 1960s America may have contributed to a shared psychological episode. Like, no.
That seems suspicious.
That seems
unlikely.
like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, they were stressed out about being an interracial couple, so they both, like, hallucinated being abducted by aliens.
Yeah, that's such a weird thing. Like, I think if you had they both had a mental break, it would probably be like a different situation. It wouldn't line up.
No. Others argue that the details of their story could have been influenced by the science fiction of their era, noting that similar themes were present in television and cinema. Additionally, critics question the reliability of hypnosis as a tool for recovering accurate memories, suggesting that it can create false memories or be influenced by the hypnotist's suggestions. But, like, the hypnotist isn't, like, telling them, okay,
Hey,
now draw the star map
Yeah.
for this place that no one knows. Like,
Yeah.
I highly doubt the hypnotist is, like, making suggestions to help make their story seem more real.
Yeah.
Like,
That doesn't make any sense
No.
to me.
believers, on the other hand, defend the Betty and Barney Hill UFO experience as a cornerstone of UFOlogy, citing the consistency of their story under hypnosis and the physical evidence they presented. They argue that the Hills had little to gain and much to lose by fabricating such a tale, especially considering the social and professional risks involved. In 1965, their story leaks to the press, and by 1966, it's a best-selling book, The Interrupted Journey. In 1975, it's a TV movie. Betty and Barney Hill have become the faces of alien abduction in America. Barney dies in 1969, still insisting it was real up until he died. Betty lives until 2004, telling and retelling the story, unwavering in her belief. Two ordinary people, a lonely road in the mountains, 2 hours, gone without a trace, and the chilling possibility that we are not alone.
Wait a dang minute. How old was he when he died?
He was only like 46.
Dang.
Yeah. Which is sad. And
Yeah.
it's sad that she lived like so much longer than him too.
Yeah. That's my fear.
This is them.
Oh, I feel like I've heard this story, but I don't think I've ever seen the actual picture of that.
Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah, that's sad. And it's like, just makes you believe more. Like they both, until they died, were constantly like, yep, this happened, like, we're not crazy.
Yeah.
And it also said that Betty, like, outwardly spoke about it all the time, like, retelling the story and, like, talking about UFOs and, like, she never once was like, oh, well, maybe we, like, remembered it wrong. She was like, no, this is what happened.
Oh.
Aliens are real, like, UFOs are real. So I wonder,
I don't know, makes me believe for sure.
yeah, I wonder, like, after he died, like, if he figured out, like, what happened.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder when people get abducted like that, after you die, can you see what actually happened to you? Like, people that don't remember and, like, their memory is wiped, like, so, like, okay, now we'll let you see all the secrets and everything that happened.
That's what I like to hope, but...
If I was Betty, I'd be, like, using a Ouija board after he
I
died,
know.
like, tell me what happened.
So, did we hallucinate it, or was it real?
Was it aliens?
Oh, that is scary, though.
Mm-hmm.
Just the thought of, like, losing time is just too much for me.
I know. And then, like, going under hypnosis and, like, remembering things that you, like, blocked out. I feel like that's probably why he didn't want to do it, because obviously it sounds like he probably had a worse experience than she did.
It does not sound like he had a good time.
No, like, she didn't sound like she did either, with, like, the needle and, like, the navel and stuff, but I don't know. And then him getting, like, developing warts around his groin and remembering them putting, like, a cup around his groin area.
What a weird thing, too.
And I wonder, like, I wish there was more information about, like, the little circles that were, like, on their trunk that the compass would, like, spin. I wish there was more, like, scientific stuff done. Like, wouldn't you think they would be like, oh, let's, like, take this part of your trunk and, like, study it
and
take
some tests on it,
or, like, what was the pink powder on her dress.
So many questions and no answers.
Like, how can people think, like, oh, we're the only ones here?
That doesn't make sense to me.
No.
Like, there's so... I
Like,
mean, like we said before, the
space
ocean is like...
huge. Yeah,
We don't
the
get
ocean.
even explored that fully.
No. Like, we just know based on what the government, like, shares with us.
Yeah.
So the fact that people are just, like, so quick to, like, dismiss it and be like, no, that couldn't be real.
That
Like,
cannot be real. I do feel like more people believe in aliens than they do like ghosts, though.
I do too, which is weird. Like, I don't know. I feel like they're kind of, like, the same.
Yeah.
Like, even though they're different things, I feel like it's kind of the same category.
Yeah.
Like, if you believe in aliens, you should believe in ghosts,
I think
too.
so, too.
There's just so much stuff that is unexplained that you can't just explain it away with, like, scientific reasonings.
Thanks, girlies and ghoulies, for joining us.
Make sure to follow our socials linked in the show notes, and email us your ghost stories and anything paranormal at girlyghosttales@gmail.com.
If you want episodes 1 week early, live ghost hunts, tarot Tuesdays, monthly giveaways, exclusive bonus content, join us on Patreon for $5 a month. New episode release every Friday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Until next time, and remember, if you hear a whisper in the dark, it's probably just us.
But just in case, keep your lights on and your doors locked. Remember, the veil is always thinner than you think.
Good night.